Welcome back. Today is going to be an interesting day. Today's the big FOMC day where everyone is going to be tuning in to hear what Fed Chair Powell is going to say about the Fed fund rate and to hear about what he has to say about tariffs and all that stuff, right? So we're starting out the day around 84,000 for Bitcoin, which is good. Better level than yesterday. And the U.S. market, surprisingly, right now in the futures market, is showing green. So right now, it's looking good. But today, I want to talk about an interesting topic, recession, and how recession or fears of a recession could be good for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's right. It seems like that's counterintuitive. There's no way a recession or fears of an incoming recession could be good for Bitcoin, right? Well, I'm going to put it together for you guys. And actually, someone else agrees with me. And that is actually BlackRock. When BlackRock says it, you better listen. Obviously, right now, with everything that's going on, there are a lot of people that think a recession could come. Okay, doesn't mean that it will come, but a lot of people are thinking it could, right? It's leading up to it. And you know, that got me thinking. Okay, that got me thinking, when was the last time everyone thought a recession was coming, right? It wasn't that long ago that markets were really spooked. Everyone thought for sure that we were going to head into recession for the US and drastic moves needed to be done. Well, that was last year. That was last year. And that happened to be right around September, right before a big FOMC meeting. And that was when Fed Chair Powell decided to cut the Fed fund rate by 50 basis points. It was the very first time he cut in 4 years since COVID. That was a long time ago. It seemed like, right? But it really wasn't. So I had to refresh my memory and go back. Yeah, because of COVID, we kept hiking the rates, and then we had elevated rates for years. And it wasn't until September is when we started cutting. So that quantitative easing started in September. But the reason why yesterday, if you guys tune into my live stream, I think it was a very good video. If you guys didn't watch it, I kind of explained everything, why all the uncertainty, all the tariff news, and everything that's been coming out, it all makes sense. So if you didn't watch my live stream yesterday, please make sure you go and do so after this video. I'll link it at the end of this video. Make sure you do so. But I showed you guys how the DXY bottomed around September last year, and also the 10-year yield bottomed around September of that time frame too. It was because the economy, Wall Street, everyone thought we were for sure going to head into recession. That's why everyone was freaking out, and that's why Fed Chair Powell decided that he had to do something. He had to do something drastic. He cut the Fed fund rate by 50 basis points. And guess what? Ever since then, we started coming up. That's the start of capital injection, quantitative easing, lowering rates. That also signaled the end of the downtrend for Bitcoin. I also showed this yesterday. That was exactly the bottom point for Bitcoin last year, and we started our uptrend ever since that happened. And that's the argument BlackRock is making, that recession could ignite Bitcoin. It seems counterintuitive, but I listened to their head of digital assets, Robbie, and he makes the same argument. Basically, he's saying during a recession, what happens? Lower rates, okay, capital injection, and these are things that help Bitcoin. And actually, uncertainty also helps Bitcoin, right? So basically, doesn't mean that we want to go into recession, but fears of a recession, okay? Like, if we're thinking we're going to have one and things get very, very scary, that's when drastic measures happen. That's when the Fed steps in. And it makes a whole lot of sense, right? Yesterday's video, I talked about how I think the bottom will come when the 10-year and the DXY drops to a certain level, and I think it could be similar to the September level of last year before markets truly find a bottom and start rallying once again, and we get into that full-blown bull market, and it makes a lot of sense. And once that happens, things will move very, very quickly. And I think a lot of people know this. I think even though there are a lot of lettuce hands right now, there are a lot of Wall Street short-term sellers and traders and hedge funds that are panicking. And of course, just regular retail investors that are panicking. There are a lot that are not. They are preparing and loading up. Actually, if you look at ETFs, we had 3 straight days of inflows. That's surprising, right? Not really. If you consider that Bitcoin has not moved, it hasn't gone down more, even though the broader market has been going down. So it does show that a lot of people are viewing either Bitcoin as a flight to safety, a hedge against inflation, or they're just viewing Bitcoin being way too oversold, and it's an opportunity. So not everyone is selling off Bitcoin. And there are still many states that believe Bitcoin is going to be big. So states are still enacting laws to create their reserves. The US is still trying to figure out how to buy and acquire as many Bitcoin as possible. And those that understand, including the big institutional investors, they are also going to keep on acquiring. So, things are looking good long term. Short term, there may be more disruptions, but long term, things are still looking good. So actually, even though it seems like the possibility of recession is bad, but that's actually what turned things around last year in September. That's when everything went into full-blown bull mode. And that may be coming soon. That may be coming not this FOMC meeting, but next FOMC meeting in May or possibly June. I think it's going to come sooner than later. I don't think it's going to be end of the year. I think it could possibly be by the next FOMC meeting. That's when we hit it. All right, guys. That's it for this video. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.